It looked like an ordinary Instagram page. Strain names listed, smoke in the air, a blacked-out car parked outside. Most people scrolled past as it seemed like just another account in the noise of 1,000. But behind those cropped photos and cryptic captions was something else. Something bigger and far more sinister. The man behind it all, he called himself the Devil. And he didn't hide it. He flaunted everything. The brand, the cash, even the threats. This is the story of how a London basement and an anonymous Instagram account became the nerve centre of one of the UK's boldest cannabis empires, and how it finally came crashing down. An Instagram page named Albanian Blood with no location, no identity, just pictures of glistening cannabis buds, stacks of cash, and cryptic captions hinting at strength and supply. To a casual follower, it looked like weed culture. To buyers in the know, it was a catalogue. Mehmetaj used it as a storefront, marketing potent strains like Star Dog, Wedding Cake, and Cream Caramel. Every post was calculated, every message was coded. Nothing said too much, but everything said enough. Instagram wasn't just a platform, it was the front door. Mehmetaj ran multiple pages, some built to show lifestyle, others to drive traffic to the product. His business wasn't in the comments, it lived in the DMS. Buyers reached out with dummy accounts. He replied quickly, offered menus, and discussed quantities. Once terms were agreed, numbers were exchanged, and deliveries arranged. He told undercover reporters the page had almost 1,000 followers. But sales were driven by reposts from his personal account, which had over 12,000 followers. No one knew who ran Albanian Blood. That was the point. By the time Instagram removed the page, orders had already been placed, deals made, and shipments arranged. What looked like a promotion was actually distributed. And what looked like a brand, in reality, it was a pipeline. Selamet Mehmetaj didn't arrive in the UK as a drug kingpin. He came in 2011 from Tropoja, a rugged mountainous region in northern Albania, known more for its isolation than opportunity. Mehmetaj wanted something bigger, and in London, he found it. He kept a low profile, started a family, and built a quiet life into a 5-bedroom flat in Palmer's Green, North London. On paper, he was another face in the crowd. No job history, no formal business, just someone making ends meet. But behind the doors of that suburban home, he was building something much larger, something criminal, deliberate, and highly profitable. Police later described how 2 suburban homes in North London had been converted into cannabis factories. But we will talk about it later in this video. He didn't work alone. His teenage brother Dior, who entered the UK illegally and had his asylum claim rejected in 2022, acted as his second in command. Prosecutors would later call him the right hand. He had no income, no assets, and no reason to be in the country, except for the drug network he helped run. Even before the police caught on, Mehmetaj made a habit of mocking them. He posted videos of officers pulling him over, smirking as they asked to search his car. More than once he was let go. He used those clips to fuel his image, untouchable and always one step ahead. He wasn't hiding from the law, but daring it to catch him. This wasn't a street corner operation. It was a structured enterprise, built for volume, speed, and concealment. Inside 2 North London homes, the setup was consistent. Walls knocked through to make room, foil-lined rooms, powerful grow lights fitted to simulate natural cycles. One house contained 90 cannabis plants, the other 50. Some grew to 1 meter tall. The police described the smell as overwhelming, detectable before they even reached the door. To keep costs low, Mehmetaj relied on illegal labor. The court heard how 2 men, both undocumented, were paid just £100 a week to maintain the factories. Their work was full-time, feeding, trimming, rotating, maintaining temperature and light conditions across dozens of plants. They didn't just water the crops, they made the whole system function. At scale, the operation became highly profitable. The plants were sold wholesale, hundreds at a time, to dealers across the country. Mehmetaj told undercover reporters that his team grew up to 2,500 plants per month. He called them his babies. He said buyers reached out constantly, some requesting hundreds at a time for their own warehouses. A kilo of his wedding cake strain, he claimed, could sell for up to £5,500 in cities like Liverpool. Each harvest brought in thousands, across multiple yields and multiple locations that eventually added up to millions. And the brand, Albanian Blood, turned it all into a business with a name, a reputation, and a reach that went far beyond London. Selamet Mehmetaj didn't just build a brand, he built a character. Online, he styled himself like a rap star, cars, cash, and captions designed to provoke. He drove a £50,000 Mercedes-Benz CLA AMG, filmed himself speeding at over 140 miles per hour, and bragged about using fake plates to avoid police detection. His Audi RS7, worth £115,000, was shown hitting 230 miles per hour on the M1. When officers pulled him over, he posted laughing emojis and mocked them in captions. His public persona wasn't subtle, it was engineered. One of his Instagram accounts focused entirely on flaunting wealth, bundles of cash, designer clothes, and high-performance cars. The other, Albanian Blood, was where the business happened. But together, they told the same story: power, money, and fearlessness. He didn't stop at photos. He made music, rap videos featuring masked men, weapons, and torture scenes. In one, he pretended to interrogate a rival in a plastic-lined room, backed by cuttings from news reports that had exposed his operation. The lyrics were self-written. He called himself Number One and said he'd open fire with a gun to protect his people. Even as media pressure mounted, Mehmetaj leaned into the spotlight. After his criminal operation was revealed, he appeared on Albanian TV, not for an apology, but for an interview. On a primetime show usually reserved for celebrities, he sat relaxed and denied wrongdoing, while the host laughed and posed with him for photos. At the height of it all, he told undercover reporters about dodging a firearms charge. A Russian PK machine gun had been found under the gearbox of his car, but Mehmetaj claimed he walked free after 48 hours in custody. He said there were no fingerprints and no link. To him, the near misses weren't warnings, they were fuel, and he turned each one into content. Every post, every clip, and every lyric was part of the performance. A true criminal enterprise wrapped in the packaging of influence. Rap lyrics referenced violence that we discussed earlier. Mehmetaj wasn't running a brand. He was running a reputation, one built not just on cannabis, but on fear. It started with a message. Undercover reporters from the Daily Mail, posing as dealers, contacted Selamet Mehmetaj through his Instagram brand Albanian Blood. They messaged him, asking about bulk supply. He replied with no hesitation. A meeting was arranged at a coffee shop near his home in Palmer's Green, North London. He arrived in his Mercedes-Benz CLA AMG without a front number plate and was parked nearby. He calmly sipped a drink and explained how the business worked. According to him, the lockdown had helped him to grow. As he said, everyone was home, and the demand shot up. He told the reporters that clients contacted him regularly for bulk orders. 200 plants here, 300 there. Some placed monthly standing orders for entire warehouses. He then turned the conversation to logistics and evasion. He also described a past raid on his 5-bedroom flat, said the police missed an entire room. Inside, according to him, were bullets, cocaine, and cannabis. But the officers searched the wrong place. They didn't find any of it. The conversation wasn't rushed. Mehmetaj was relaxed, certain of his control. He thought he was speaking to allies, people ready to buy. Instead, he gave a detailed voluntary breakdown of his entire operation, directly into the hands of a national investigation team. The footage, the admissions, the location, it was all now evidence. The brand he had built for exposure was the same one that brought him down. The footage was enough to open the door, but police already had their eyes on Mehmetaj. After the Daily Mail exposé, detectives from the Metropolitan Police launched a focused investigation. 2 months of surveillance followed. They tracked his movements, watched his properties, and gathered evidence that went far beyond Instagram screenshots. The first breakthrough came in November 2022. Officers moved in on one of the North London grow houses. The smell of cannabis hit them before they even knocked. Inside, they found Selamet Mehmetaj, his younger brother Dior, and 2 others. All were wearing gloves. All were caught tending to the plants. 90 mature cannabis plants were found in that location alone. The property was more than a house. It had been jutted and rebuilt for growing. The walls had been knocked through to create more space. Days later, police hit a second site. 50 more plants were uncovered, some reaching over 1 meter in height. Both sites were operated in the same way, suburban homes converted into commercial farms. By the time the raids ended, officers had uncovered a clear structure, and the combined street value was estimated at up to £166,000, a production line, illegal labour, strategic concealment, and a cycle of harvests worth hundreds of thousands in street value. They also seized Mehmetaj's £70,000 Jeep Cherokee, used, according to the investigation, to transport cultivation materials across counties like Kent and Surrey. The number plates had been swapped regularly to avoid recognition. This wasn't a street gang, it was infrastructure. The officers hadn't just found drugs, they had found a network, operated out of homes, scaled through social media, and managed by someone who didn't think he could be touched. By the time Selamet Mehmetaj appeared at Wood Green Crown Court, the performance was over. Standing beside his younger brother Dior, both dressed in matching black suits, white shirts and black ties, a look that drew comparisons to Reservoir Dogs, he pleaded guilty. The charge was production of cannabis on a commercial scale. The courtroom heard how he ran the operation like a business. He wasn't just supplying cannabis, he was directing illegal cultivation and moving wholesale quantities worth millions. The homes raided in North London were described in court as sophisticated grow sites. Each had been structurally modified to support full-scale cannabis farming. Prosecutors presented financial evidence, surveillance footage, and Mehmetaj's own words, captured during the undercover sting. From details about weapons to boasts about drug trafficking, the jury heard the image he'd once curated online, now turned into criminal proof. Judge Karim Ezzat called it what it was: a sophisticated enterprise. He said Mehmetaj had played a hands-on role in directing the entire operation. There were no speeches, no final displays, just quiet admissions. After years of taunting the law, mocking officers, filming raids, and turning his criminal network into entertainment, Mehmetaj stood with his brother and waited to be sentenced. In August 2023, Selamet Mehmetaj was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison for his leading role. But the story didn't stop at the cell door. Just months into his sentence, Mehmetaj reappeared online. Photos surfaced from inside the prison, selfies with muscle-flexing pose, branded clothing and soundtracks from his own rap videos. He even used the same social platforms he once ran his business from, now posting from behind bars. The prison service confirmed they were investigating. Mobile phones are banned. If found, inmates face additional charges and time. But that didn't stop the uploads. Supporters flooded his posts with free Memzo messages. Some begged for updates, others praised the image he continued to project. Even in prison, Mehmetaj was trying to manage the myth about the weed boss. At the same time, Dior's own case had been adjourned until October. He had also pleaded guilty to cannabis production. But as of the latest available reporting, there's been no confirmed outcome or official update on his hearing. I've searched thoroughly across multiple sources and court records, but nothing has been found. His role in the operation was never in question, but his final sentence remains unknown, at least to my knowledge. If anyone has credible updates on this, I welcome the input and apologize for not being able to confirm it myself. What do you think? Was 4.5 years enough for someone who built a drug empire off Instagram and kept flaunting it even behind bars? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more real UK crime stories like this, subscribe, turn on notifications, and keep watching. There's always another case to uncover.